Queensland researcher Ronald Pegg discovered evidence of time travel in over 30 ancient texts. 20 reports document his findings. Where angels, oracles, sealed books from the future, or dreams and visions are being reported by ancient people, they were actually describing human time travel encounters involving a computer, compact disc, and seeing pictures from that disc. Examples of angels being reported in ancient texts include Moses and Daniel, John of Revelation, Muhammad, and Joseph Smith. Oracles were present in the ancient Middle East and Europe. But a good example is from France, where Nostradamus used a wand and a saddle in the air, with the Queen of France describing a magic mirror and a magic circle. South Australian researcher Eddy Pengelly confirms Pegg's claim in these 12 books. He coined a new term, documented out-of-place artefacts, and refers to these modern items being documented in many ancient texts. Sealed books of the future often came in pairs. They have been identified and were known throughout history by various names: Tablet of Destiny and Fate, Urim and Thummim, Will of Dharma, a roll of a book written within, Book with 7 seals, and a Book of Life, Wheel of Destiny of Nations and the Wheel of Time, and the Urim and Thummim. Dreams and visions include legends and stories and prophecies and history. Legends and stories based upon pictures from these 3D ROMs include creation legends from the Americas, Asia, Australia, India, Europe, Middle East and Pacific Oceania, stories of gods from Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece and Italy, and the Atlantis legend. The same type of computer as used by Ronald Pegg was deliberately taken back to the past so that he would recognise that computer technology when the visited ancient people depicted and described it in their personal chronicles. Particular CD-ROMs for that computer system were taken back and shown to ancient people so that their contents would be documented by certain people, and included a history of civilizations, various modern historical events, and how the solar system worked. A specific, only once ever in history event was selected from each of these CD-ROMs, so they would be easily identified by simply looking in history book. An Egyptian papyrus depicts a mouse and cable, and explains that it looked like a scarab beetle with its feet held in, and that it had a head like a basket with a handle shaped like a serpent's tail, and that 3 discs bear flat undersides shine, and a disc, its protruding ledge, is a disc-shaped saddle in the side of the box. A desktop 386 computer has been documented in Exodus and describes various computer terms such as boards, sockets, pins, and cords. The tabernacle refers to the CPU box. All his vessels refer to the CD-ROMs in their jewel cases. The mercy seat and the altar refer to the protruding CD tray. The Ark of Testimony refers to the monitor. The Staff of Moses refers to the mouse and its cable. In the Book of Mormon, for a 386 computer, the 24 setup disks taken back are stated as 20 and 4 plates, and are described as 8 prepared vessels and 16 small stones. These 2 CD-ROMs are named by Nostradamus as the Wheel of Destinies of Nations and the Wheel of Time, where nations means civilizations. And in Mesopotamian stories, these are called the Tablet of Destiny and the Tablet of Fate, where fate refers to future events in time. Egyptian scribes describe a green tablet of crystal and depict a green covered compact disc. And the Scala disc, in English, is the ladder disc, but in Latin, ladder is scala. Thus originally it was known as the Scala disc. The ladder glyph is pronounced as aha, and reflects the vocalization of Ska-La. Also depicted as the Ra disc, the mouth glyph was originally sounded as an L, thus the La disc, and was also another vocalization of the Ska-La. For this CD-ROM, John was told that its executable file size, rounded up, was 144,000. And Moses documents its startup sequence of pictures as darkness, water, under the sky. Then the dry land appears, with the map of the Mediterranean being called the Earth, and the waters referring to the Mediterranean Sea. For both CD-ROMs, their menu pages' active icons are described as a book with 7 seals, and in the middle, the Tree of Knowledge. Nostradamus drew a picture of this CD-ROM and called it the Wheel of Destinies of Nations, with the 8 segments representing the 8 main sections as seen behind those 7 icons on the map. He also depicted the mouse and cable in hand as a rod connected to the middle of the Destiny Wheel, and reported this as the rod in hand is placed in the middle of the branches. Depicted as the ladder disc, the Ra disc, or just a circle with a dot by the Egyptians, the Ska-La CD-ROM was known and worshipped as the sun disc. The 14 hand rods represent holding the mouse and cable in the hand and using it 14 times to access the 14 main pages from the sun disc. A Hindu account adds the 7 video pages from the Egyptian section and tells the story this way. Within the egg of Brahma are 21 zones. The earth is the 7th. Above the earth are 6 heavens, below it 7 netherworlds, and below this are a further 7 hells, totaling 21 zones. Muhammad describes seeing and how to bring forth this series of pictures as the sea, the vault of the sky, the visited civilization, and that by the mountain is an open book. He acknowledges the 3 ships as, behold the ships, ploughing their course through its waters. He then compares the size of the ship with the mountain as ships which sail like mountains, and says how to get to the map page by moving the small ship to the windrows and clicking it to reveal the map. Joseph Smith not only names and documents the same seer zones as Moses, but he is pictured with 8 witnesses holding their 2 plastic jewel cases, and this was before plastic was invented. Nostradamus wrote a non-religious text, saw future events from this disc, then encoded them in his works. For the disc to work, he reported that, by itself, rests on the saddle in the air. It was reported by the Queen of France that she viewed her 3 sons on a magic mirror. When a word search is invoked, the following information is retrieved. The Queen's sons are displayed on the screen. The Gulf War is a video from the CD-ROM. Nostradamus described this part of Desert Storm as the troops pouring up from the south and making the red columns tremble. Moses reports the battleground as being by the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, the passover of aircraft into Iraq, the animated tanks as lice, and the exodus of civilians into the Turkish mountains. To support all this, Moses was told specific war events from these 2 books, and like Nostradamus, he encoded that information in his writings. The Book of Judges documents related war events from 6 pages, and over 80 war events have been reported in 100 verses from the Book of Kings. This war was also told to Daniel and John, who reported in their respective chronicles. Similar to the 9 people who had found a letter code in the Bible, Ronald Pegg found a word code that revealed encounters with time travellers documented in the Bible. These Bible code people are documented and dated in the Bible, with Moses calling Pegg a tent peg, and Nostradamus naming him as Ron Pegg, stating where he lives, and calling him the teacher who discovers all these things. Eddy Pengelly reinvestigated Pegg's works and confirmed that these legends and stories describe images from these 3 CD-ROMs. Pictures from this CD-ROM are described in the Bible as dreams and visions. Now known as prophets, specific ancient people were visited by time travellers, shown the CD-ROM and told to write down what they saw, which they did. Ancient descriptions from prophetic text matching to pictures from that CD-ROM is definitive proof of time travel.